Hello, welcome to the Crystal Tomb. I am kcStranger. These are my inflappable players, except for Kane, who is flappable and is not here. As always, the Crystal Tomb is brought to you by XSplit Broadcaster and by Tractor Blend. One day I'll add up how many times I've shouted out Tractor Blend and charge him the 50 cents per that he owes me. Although I think I also owe him some form of baked good. Um, anyways, so last time the party finished their fight with the dragons, then made their way to the facility, which is some sort of under ice structure, building, tunnel, um, controlled by the Adder's Fang. To their surprise, perhaps most of all to Kane's surprise, so much so that he's not here. No, sorry. They were greeted by Toli Silverspring, a genasi they had met at the Temple of Miros in Tindas. Toli guided them into the same lounge they sat in with Yurak on their first visit. And in that spot, they met Tirsa Shadowveil. Kane and Toli excused themselves to the kitchen to get food and drink for everyone. While they were there, Toli told Kane how she ended up with Tirsa. Since Kane's not here, I'll skip over the rest of that backstory since he's the only one who actually knows it. Meanwhile, Tirsa sought to win the party's trust, hoping to work with them to repel the demon invasion. She updated them on the fight, telling them that the halfling territory had been overrun and that the army was threatening to roll east towards Citadel in the human territory. Although the party had misgivings about Tirsa, they eventually revealed their story, and Tirsa, in return, promised them aid and information. She told them the story of Eberyn Deepgazer Alendul, who is a copper dragonborn who had contested Tirsa's early control of the guild. She said that she thought he had possessed the Cape of Delusion, and though she hadn't been able to determine where it was, he had been imprisoned in the facility for holding an observation. And now, Tirsa says, she'll let you, in on what they know, to see what you might learn from it. You watch as Tirsa thumbs the fingers of her left hand against her right arm. Her lips move slightly as if she's talking to herself, and her expression is thoughtful. Everybody give me an Arcana check.
I want to point out that I have a +9 to Arcana.
Maxis, you do recognize that she's casting some kind of spell. No fireballs are appearing. You don't feel any adverse effects, but she's doing something.
Okay.
A moment later, Toli appears around the corner and says, Tirsa? And Tirsa addresses her. Our guest said moments ago that they had some items they wished to preserve. Could you please assist them with that? There's some mineral oil and drying agents in storage that should do the trick. I'm going to go and check on your rock. You can just bring everyone back here when you're done. Sure thing, says Toli. Follow me then? And she gestures towards the group.
Okay. I'm following.
Okay,
so.
Everybody getting up
Yep.
and following Toli? Okay.
Yep.
So Tirsa sort of excuses herself and walks more quickly down the hallway. And sort of disappears around a bend at the end. Toli takes you just a few doors down and opens up what appears to be a large storage closet with, I don't know, just all sorts of supplies in there, basically.
And a skeleton.
Different closet. There's more than one closet. And she looks back at you all and says, actually, I think I remember you saying something about, Dragon and Remerha's parts, Maxis?
Yeah. I have some eyes and a head, and I think some blood, and maybe some scales.
I
I
see.
don't have the scales though. He has the scales. I'm pointing at Kane, but he's not here.
Okay. I'm not an expert in this. I feel like scales should just keep, but some of those other items. Yeah, not an expert, but seems like it might be worth trying to do something. Maxis, as you inspect the items, let me think. You have right. Give me first of all a D100 roll for the eyes.
50.
Interesting. Okay.
That's
So you pull them out. One of them appears to have kept remarkably well. You're pleasantly surprised. The other one is dirty and a little bit shriveled. Probably still worth something, but rather the worse for wear. Tully looks at them sort of askance, then rummages around, pulls out a couple of bottles that are filled with mineral oil, and says, I think this is the best I can do. Or actually, just one larger bottle, probably.
well, it'll be probably fine. I mean, it's kept for a while now, so I'm gonna toss them in there,
All right,
seal it up.
so let me see.
Just say the
For a
blood's
jar of mineral oil, add another, like, I'll just call it half a pound to whatever the eyes weighed before. And just note that one of them's a little messed up. As for the blood, let me see. I haven't been carrying that long, but blood does tend to do things. Roll another D100 for that.
For the what?
For
Blood?
the blood.
Okay. I mean, I would assume that we can't really do much to preserve that, but...
Although, as you pull it out, remarkably, you're not certain if it's some special trait of dragon blood or what. It doesn't appear to have coagulated at all, actually. It seems pretty good. Tully looks at it and is like, then walks over towards a wall where there's just a bunch of sundry bottles. Takes a look at that. Let me pull up her character sheet.
And then the music started.
She frowns at the wall for a moment and looks back at the rest of you and says, Colleen, Fallon, I'm not quite sure. Do any of you know anything about this? I'm a little out of my depth here, but something here might help.
Help with
I say, I...
blood?
Can I make, like, a nature check?
So,
I mean,
yeah, so anyone who wants to
probably
can make a nature check, sort of looking over the various bottles that are on the wall. So what we're looking for basically here is whether there's any kind of agent that you could put a little bit inside in the blood to stabilize it. Okay. Fallon, you walk over, and nice, Ernan. Ernan, you walk over and pull a bottle just immediately off the shelf, the first one that strikes your eye, and put it on the table in front of you all. Totally
It's a
looks
very nice purple and gold bottle. It's got very fancy like calligraphy on it. It's very pretty.
Tully picks it up, looks at it, and says, does anyone know what hydrofluoric acid is?
Acid, I'm assuming?
She says, or actually, wait a minute. I'm going to put this back. I'm not exactly sure. And then meanwhile, Fallon and Colleen, you two have been sort of rummaging next to each other. Finally, Colleen, you pull out a bottle that has some sort of white powder in it. It's labeled Jepson root. Fallon, you look at it and nod, and take it over to Maxis. Sort of tell him that this should stabilize it. Actually, Maxis, you open up the bottle where you have the blood. You just sprinkle a little bit in there and mix it up, and the blood is now stabilized.
During that, Fallon nodded at Colleen and said, "She knows her bloods."
I was about to make a similar joke. Good at preserving.
Brilliant. Actually, it's honey mustard. All right. Okay. Oh, and you have a head. Tully looks at the head and then says, "As far as that goes, she seems mildly squeamish about it, but then says,
I mean, it'll probably be fine. I'm assuming that you guys don't have any thing here to pull these teeth and or bones out of the head, though.
I mean, I can give you a bag." Oh, pull them
mean,
out.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a pair of pliers if you want to give it a shot.
Can Fallon suggest the acid?
We'll.
I mean, you
we'll
can.
Probably not.
Okay, Fallon says, if you, just speaking from experience here, but if you get a big enough kind of bucket and you pour in the acid with the head, you just gotta wait a couple of days.
What? Wouldn't that completely disintegrate the bones?
No. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, I'm not even... I'm actually speaking from experience.
Brilliant.
So you just skull mounts with,
Say,
a
eye
deer that you
her
kill
and
when you
see
go
if-
hunting.
Hydrofluoric acid specifically, though, does dissolve bone.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't pay attention to the type of acid. My bad.
Yeah, that's basically known by me because I studied chemistry for a really long time, and by people who watched the first couple episodes of
Dexter.
No.
I thought maybe you were going to tell me you were getting
Breaking
into
Bad.
Dexter, got into your chemistry, wanted to see how you could disintegrate bodies.
No, they use it to disintegrate a body in Breaking Bad. The problem is they put it in a tub and it dissolves the
porcelain,
floor, basically.
So Fallon wants to hand his dragon toe to Thule.
Okay.
And he says, "Do you think maybe you could get the claw out and make it into a necklace that would fit Gamork?"
She looks at it, says, "I can give you the pliers if you want them."
Maybe we'll wait for
I'll pay. I'll pay.
She looks at you, sort of one eyebrow raised. "Why do you want me to do it?"
I've just never been good with jewelry.
Fair enough. Actually, let me check what she has. Neither have I. Unfortunately.
5 gold? Give it a shot.
Come on, Fallon. How hard is it to trim a toenail?
I mean, if he's paying that much, I might just do it.
And then I'd say to Kelly, I'm delegating.
Fine, give me the toe. I'll try for 5 gold.
Kane said you wouldn't let me down.
All right.
I will
Deduct
subtract 5 gold.
I will actually have a character sheet for Tully, so I'll add 5 gold to it. And you'll get this later, but I'm just gonna handle it now. We will see how well Tully does with this. So it's just gonna be her dex because I guess I'll call it sleight of hand. Sure, why not? Extended use of sleight of hand. So Let me see. It's kind of tricky. Yeah, no, she jacks it up.
Really?
She gives you back. It's just like the nail is just like broken off. So you've got like a chip about an inch and a half long, and then the rest of it is mostly unchanged. Sorry.
Can I like hold up the head to Fallon and be like, "Don't worry, I have some teeth," but like make the dragon head say it as I'm talking?
You got to do it in a voice. You got to do a voice for the
Don't
dragon.
worry, we have teeth.
Lols. So Tully looks at you, Maxis, and says, "So what I was going to suggest is we have some desiccant if you wanted to dry it. It would preserve better that way."
We're going directly. Well, I mean that's fine. We can do that.
Okay. She gives you a brown bag that has some. It's got sort of like a cheesecloth over the bottom of it, and there's some material in the bottom there that kind of looks like those silica packs that you get when you buy shoes. And she just tells you to keep it in there. I won't worry about the weight for that. Okay.
Fallon says, Kane was wrong.
Anything else? I think we're all good here.
I find a waistband for the dragon toe.
I think
Rip.
we were just waiting on info and then teleportation, right?
Yeah. So with apologies, nature is calling to me strongly right now. So I'm going to press the pause button, and I'll be right back. But Tully will guide you back out towards that little lounge. There's still some food there. If your characters want to talk about anything while I'm gone, you can, or you can just do whatever. Be right back.
You guys didn't like my idea with telling Kane, Thule, and Maxis had a romantic encounter?
We can always
What?
say that.
I couldn't think of anything that rhymed with Goliath, so once you go Goliath, rhyming doesn't matter.
Where are we going?
I don't know anymore.
I don't remember.
There was talk of going to Siren for some reason, but didn't we? Where the hell were we gonna go? We weren't gonna go to the hometown of the crazy guy that had the cloak of whatever, right?
We need to go interrogate him still, because he's here, right?
I think.
Were we allowed to though? Weren't we
I
just
thought-
allowed to watch him?
Yeah, I thought she
Oh.
was going to get information, but also, we say that like he wasn't talking or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought for some reason.
Thought we said something about Citadel, but
Maybe that's what.
Wait, did we spend a night before this?
no, I think we just had a short rest. Because I still have hit dice gone.
It was like if I
Yeah.
could
we have a
take a
short
couple
rest?
hours, I can learn suggestion, and then I can suggest things.
I mean, we could spend a night here. I don't actually remember if we were saying we were going to spend a night here or not.
Well,
Did we
I
get a
forget.
short rest?
I forget what the time is to copy a spell.
I think it's still kind of early in the day.
I
Yeah.
forgot to reset my channel divinities.
All right. Good to go?
Sure.
All right.
Oh.
Oh.
No, this is... Never mind. Continue.
All right.
I'm looking for a map. I just don't know where I've put it.
Gotcha.
How long would it take to learn a third level spell?
6 hours or 3 if it's a necromancy.
It is not a necromancy.
So 6. Okay. So yeah, you totally guides you back to the little lounge area, and only about like a minute and a half later, the male Goliath from before enters the room. This is Yurak. Though tall and strongly built, he does stand a full head shorter than Maxis, who is remarkably tall even for a Goliath. He has tattoos that cover half of his face, and actually you notice Maxis has a similar sort of thing going on. Yurok comes to just sort of the entry arch of the lounge and says, I've been told you're to visit the prison. After me. And turns to walk out of the room. Everybody just following.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you continue to the end of the hallway. You round that bend that you saw Tirsa go around, and a short distance after that, it exits into a cave. You see an underground river that flows gently between two small openings. Yurok guides you towards the left, where a metal staircase descends further down. At the bottom of the stairs is a short stone hallway that terminates in 3 doors, one on each side and one in the center. Yurok produces a key, opens the center door, and goes inside and sort of waves for you to follow in. You enter a square room of perhaps 15 feet on each side. To the right is a wooden table with a few stacks of parchment, a few chairs, and 2 metal tubes that descend from the ceiling. One of them ends in just an opening, and the other terminates in what appear to be lenses. To the left, you see a steel door similar to the one at the entrance, save for a large rune that's engraved across its entire surface. If anyone wants to try to identify that, you can give me Arcana. And Tirsa sits by the table, and as you come in, she sort of lowers a sheet of parchment that she's been looking at, and looks at you. So, Colleen, you recognize that the rune on the door, and actually, Ernan, you recognize this as well. The rune on the door is effectively permanently reproducing the effect of, I believe it's called, I think I know what it is, but yeah. It's permanently warding a certain area against any magic. It's an anti-magic field. You speculate that it might be just warding one side of the door, but you'd have to like actually try to cast something to be sure of that. So
Do we still?
Go ahead.
Do we still have the mental link going?
Good question.
That
How long is
lasts
that?
for
An hour?
Yeah, I think an hour.
I don't know. Well, I was saying if we walked into this room, would that like dissolve? Or walk past that room?
Colleen knows that it wouldn't. And I'm gonna say you have like 10 minutes left on it at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, lasts up to 1 hour.
Actually, probably more like 15 minutes. So probably like the duration, probably at least the amount of time you're in this room, it'll still be functioning.
Okay.
Did you want to try to use it, or are we just looking to see if...
No, I was just making sure that it was still available because it's an anti-magic.
Okay, yeah, you sense that it is.
Okay.
Although, unless, like, Colleen tells you, I didn't see a roll from you, so you wouldn't know that it is an anti-magic.
No, that was for me as a player, not a...
Yep.
I'll
Okay.
think out loud in my mind. Anti-magic.
Brilliant. So at this point, Tirsa addresses you. She gestures towards the door and says, "Prisoners in there," and then she indicates the 2 tubes. "You can see and hear him with these, and these," she waves the parchment or gestures towards the parchments on the table, are records of some of the things Yurok has caught him saying. This," and she waves the single piece that she's holding, "is probably the most likely to be significant, seeing how Yurok has caught him repeating the entire speech 4 times, but we haven't been able to make anything of it As you might be able to tell, especially if he starts talking again, extended confinement hasn't been kind to him. You'd never know from looking at him, though.
Can we? I'll take a look at the speech that he's been doing over and over again.
Okay. She hands over the parchment to you. And I'll go ahead and, just to make the formatting a little nicer, I'll post it in our Slack channel as well. But I'll also post it in Roll20. So this is what it says. And for benefit of the recording. I'm cold. I'm cold. I'm cold. I'm cold. I'm cold. I'm hungry and I'm alone, and you're also finely dressed and I'm cold. You're wearing such nice clothes, so nice and pretty, and here I've got something to do and I'm just rotting. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, and I hate you all. Stop wearing those smirking expressions. Stop wearing them and let me be. I'm sick of looking at your condescending faces. You're wearing my patience thin, wearing it thin as a pauper's threadbare cloak. Just stop it. Stop waiting and swallow me up so I can spend eternity with you and your father and your father's father and the Devil King Enma. Please end it. Just end it. Just end it. Just end it. I'm tired. I'm tired and I haven't moved in an age. You're wearing me down and all that I have left is lies. Just take it. I wish I could give it. I can't. Kill me and I'll be buried with it.
Uh-oh.
What the hell is the Devil King Enma?
You can try making an Arcana check if you want.
I mean, I'll try. I'm not very good at it.
Can we all try?
Yeah.
And none of you have any way of, like, true sight, correct? To
Can I roll a history check in addition to Arcana?
No, Arcana is correct for denizens of the Outer Planes. So Maxis,
Hits.
Colleen, and Ernan. You do know what devils are. They are sort of fiends of the lawful evil persuasion. They reside in one of the outer planes known as the Nine Hells, and have a very hierarchical sort of organization. They do a lot of jockeying for power and position, and also a lot of just trying to get people's souls, because that's what
Can
they
I
do.
try to talk to Imra?
Oh, you know what? I goofed up. This is what it says. I was just about to remind you of that, but I got the name wrong.
Is it the same dude?
It's actually Imra. I meant to write Imra, and I wrote Enma.
You tried to write Enema.
Yeah. I meant Imra. So
I guess
would
I
recognize
read
the
that
name.
or I see that and I kind of look around back and forth and I say, must think. I try to reach out to Senor Imra.
Okay. Give me a charisma check with advantage.
Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, you said charisma. You mean like just straight
a straight
charisma?
charisma check with advantage.
Does that mean I roll it twice? Like, or
Well,
never mind,
it'll
it
roll
doesn't.
twice automatically. Okay. So,
I don't need your stinking advantage.
when it counts. When it counts.
So you hear the name, or when you read that, you like lean over and read the parchment. And you see the name Imra, and you're like, huh. And you lean back a little bit, and you just sort of concentrate on that feeling that tends to go along with, Imra, and just sort of cast out into the universe. Chat And the universe answers. Gradually you notice that the already dark atmosphere has grown even darker. You notice your companions sort of moving slower, and then they kind of seem to stop and fade into the background. And you see this sort of wavering in the air like the air over a fire. And then you watch as the. You know what? Actually, let me see if I can find this real quick.
So how much bigger is he than I?
How much bigger is he?
Like, could we shake hands?
I mean,
Or would it be
technically
comical?
yes. Technically yes, but
Oh, and you had this prepared already.
oh, I used this image before. I just unarchived it right now. Let me see here. I'm forgetting exactly what his size category is, but I've almost found it.
I thought he was like 12 foot tall.
Yeah, he's
Well,
around there. 12 plus. He's classified as large, which means he's significantly bigger than Maxis, but like definitely smaller than, like similar. His size category is the same, I think, as the dragons that you fought.
Could we do that handshake thing from Predator where I say, Imra, you old son of a bitch? And we.
You say that?
Yeah.
Do you hold out your hand?
Sense. Yeah.
He pauses for a moment, looks at it, smiles, reaches out his massive clawed hand, which sort of envelops yours as you shake. You ring.
And I say, yeah, there's a fella here, has a item that we need, and he's complaining about you.
Oh, well, why ever would he do that?
Something about you letting him waste away, but you need to take him.
Oh, I am neglectful sometimes.
What was the guy's name again?
Eberin, or his nickname is Deep Gazer.
Deep Gazer, Everin. You know of him.
I may know something, yes. And he, again, gives this sort of rather creepy smile.
Well, word on the street is he's got the Cape of what was Delusion?
Cape of Delusion.
The Cape of Delusion. I think he might still have it. Do you think he has it?
Do I think he has it? My oh my. Well, I might know something of this entire business, but you do understand who you're talking to, yes? I've been, of course, quite helpful this entire time, but in general, I don't give something for nothing.
Am I gonna have to start slipping you gold?
You think I want gold?
What about Kane? Kane's in the room, right? He's just
but he's in the
I
background.
kind of flick my eyes over it, the blue one.
He smirks and he says, "If Kane were yours to give, then that might be an offer. You could give yourself, I suppose."
I might be able to get him to give himself freely. But either way.
I'll tell you what. I'll make you an offer. In Gavila, in the south, there's a ruined city by the name of Telius Kar. If you will agree, before a year is ended, to make your way there, and there undo the seal on a certain door that I will tell you about, then I'll tell you everything that I know of, not only of this matter, but also of the location of the other vestiges.
What's behind the door?
You don't get to know that. Where would the surprise be?
I know where a dragon toe is. If you'd rather just tell me about this one.
This was funny at first, Fallon.
Still funny. Can I undo the seal by myself, or do I have to have some magician along with me?
I can instruct you on what needs done. You need merely to make your way there.
Do I have to sacrifice any children or goats?
Nothing of the kind. It's, you merely need to destroy a few things that are in place. Any sort of magical weapon should be able to do it.
Will I most likely survive encountering whatever emerges?
Of course. And I will most certainly protect you from any dangerous outcomes of this.
All right, deal.
He,
Hey, wait a minute. What else can you do for me?
He looks sort of sideways at you. You say deal, and then you try to bargain more, when I've already offered you more than you asked in the first place.
I thought we were friends.
We are friends, and maybe I'll give you more help from another deal that I made in the past with somebody else, once again.
That's what I meant, but go on.
Very well. He waves his left hand in the air, and a little scroll appears that has some writing on it. It's in common, and as it floats down to sort of hang in front of your face, you see it basically just outlines exactly what he says. It mentions that essentially on signing it, he is to tell you everything that he knows of the whereabouts of the vestiges, and in return, within 1 year, you will make your way to the ruins of Tellius Car. There, undo the seal on the certain door, no harm will come to you, etc. All of that. It does mention that if you fail to do that within 1 year, then your soul will be forfeit to him. And after that, there's another little burst of flame, and sort of a feather quill appears hanging next to the contract. Do we have a deal?
So I assume I have the contract and pen in my hand, right?
Sure.
Well, two slight modifications, possibly. One, can I have a potential 6-month extension on the year, just in case I'm way late? Second, can I have all your knowledge in writing as well? If you can make scrolls appear, you know.
Right. He looks down. Let me think about what's thematically appropriate here.
It burning into Fallon's skin. My bad.
He says, very well. You have 18 months. And he waves once again, and another little sealed scroll appears, and sort of floats in the air, just behind where the other one, or in the same spot the other one appeared. And once you sign the contract, you'll be able to read that. It has what I know. I even threw in something extra, because we're friends.
I knew I liked you.
Sign my name.
All right.
The great Fallon Fenris.
Okay, and as you sign it, he says, where you need to go and what you need to do about the door is in there as well. Don't forget. And he holds out his massive clawed hand one more time towards you in a handshake. Pleasure doing business with you.
Got it.
All right. And there's sort of a moment before the rest of the scene rushes back in where this sort of pause continues. Imra fades away, but you're able to read over what he gave you. So there is the description of essentially a ruined temple in the remains of this city, which incidentally I will tell you where that is. So this is in the larger world. It's way at the bottom, right here. See that?
Oh shit! I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, it's not in Einon Green.
What the hell, Casey?
You
You're
got
so
an extra
tricky.
6 months.
I did. I better start packing now. Let's split the party right now. I'll see y'all guys later. I better
He
get
just
to this.
says, shit.
And it has instructions on what to do with the door as well. Essentially, gosh. Essentially, there are 13 seals on the door, and you just basically need to take some sort of magic weapon and mess them over. It does mention that there are certain perils of making your way there, so you do well to be prepared, maybe bring help, but nothing you shouldn't be able to handle, of course. And as for the information that you were interested in, it outlines the, it says obviously 3 of the vestiges are currently in your party's possession. One of them, the Axe of Sundering, it mentions is actually down here. And in particular, it is at the central of the, and I don't even know how to pronounce that name that I made up, but the Love Peaks. So it will be a far journey to retrieve that, but essentially it is. I'm making this up on the spot. It is deep inside the central mountain. And I'm making notes so I don't forget this later. All right, 2 of them, the Gauntlet of Suffusion, as well as the Chalice of Prosperity, are also currently outside of Anangurn. It indicates a location somewhere in this general area, in the north. And it does indicate that they are currently in the possession of the Ashal.
So they're together in that Ashal place.
Oh, it doesn't say if the same person has both of them. Or actually, wait a minute. Let me think about that. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't say if the same person has both of them, but it does say they're both in the same basic location. The final one.
What was the thing? The what of prosperity?
Chalice.
Choose wisely. Go on.
All right. The final one, it indicates, is currently about
We're not on that map
about
anymore.
15, 20 feet from you.
Oh, that's why we're not on the map anymore.
Yep. So the Cape of Delusion, the information from Imra indicates, is currently being worn by the prisoner. He is using an ability of it that makes it invisible to essentially all means of perception. Moreover, even if you were to reach out and touch it, you would not realize it is there. So powerful are the illusions that the cape can make. The way to retrieve it from him is that you have to essentially take it from him and genuinely believe that you have done so, even though all of your senses will tell you otherwise. But he is wearing it in normal sort of cape fashion. So.
Cool. So, I pocket my scroll of knowledges.
All right. And the scene slowly fades back in. And actually, let me do a quick thing. Anybody who wants to can make a perception or an insight check. I'm sorry.
Do Max's and I's head explode from
Wait, why would your head explode?
being linked with his?
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that.
I was gonna ask about that.
So it's like a voluntary connection. So you only send thoughts if you intend to send thoughts. So unless Fowlin tried to send you thoughts the entire time that was happening, you should be fine.
You have it phrased that we can read Surface's thoughts if he allows it.
Oh, that is true. Okay, in that case, make your checks with advantage.
Didn't you bastards, didn't he just say if I allow it?
Were you intentionally not allowing it?
Well, I mean,
You've
when
been
I talked
allowing
to
it this
Imra,
entire time. That's fair. No, that's fair. All right, so just normal insight then. Maxis, are you gonna make that?
Yeah, hold on one second.
All right.
There we go.
Nailed it.
All right. So Colleen, you sort of just like have one of those weird sensations and sort of shake your head a little bit, but you dismiss it. It's just like who knows what caught your attention momentarily. You have no idea. That said, Maxis, you notice nothing. Tirsa does look at you, Fallon, as you sort of waver where you stand a little bit, and say, "You okay, Fallon?"
yeah, I'm pretty good. Can we see can I physically visit this person?
She raises an eyebrow. And why would you want to do that?
He has something I need.
Give me deception.
I'm not lying.
You're not lying. I'm using. There isn't a perfect check for this, but I'm generally construing deception to be like when you're trying to disguise your intention.
Okay.
Fallon's killing it today.
She
two rolls out of how many so far?
Yeah, but do you know what Tirsa's insight modifier is?
Oh, Lord.
She looks up at you, Fallon, and says, "What are you not telling me?"
So much.
Can I make another Arcana check on the rune?
Uh,
I want to know if like spells can persist in it, just can't be cast in, or.
Gotcha. Sure. Go and make another check. Okay, yeah, and especially considering the success from your previous, looking at the way it's drawn, you think that essentially what's going on here is you're making an assumption that behind that door is the cell. Seems pretty reasonable. And you're guessing that what it does is prevent any magic from working inside of the cell, but outside the cell is fine. And looking at the sort of tubes that are coming down from the ceiling, you guess that what might be going on with those is they're getting a non-magical means of seeing and hearing what goes on inside the cell using those. I think there are probably mirrors inside one of them, for instance, that provide a view of the cell.
Alright. So, in short, spells will not work inside even if cast outside.
Correct. Basically, all magical effects would stop working in that area. It's completely
Thwart my plans, Casey.
Oh.
Well, you're talking about in the prison cell, his cape is working, so I assume the vestiges would work.
Oh, no, that's a good point. Okay, I'm gonna retcon that because I screwed up. So essentially, oh, wait a minute. Is that? No, there's actually a different reason for that. Yeah, so everything I said holds. But if you found, well, let me see. You didn't realize about the door, so there is a genuine reason for this. It's not just because I said so.
Okay, but so you're saying that if I like walked in, put on the crown of allure, it wouldn't work?
Well, it stands
Couldn't
to
use it in the
reason
room?
that if his vestige is working, yours would probably work too in that case.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I was
I'm
getting
just
at.
telling you what seems reasonable.
Okay. So I guess the last bit of conversation before all that was that I said so much when she asked what I was not telling her.
Pretty much. And she just said, "What are you not telling me, Fallon?"
So I look at Maxis and Colleen, and I say, in my head, I say, he's got the cape, but you can't see it.
They tend to do that. At least this is the second one that we have seen to be there, or not appear to be there, but it was there, so I believe that. So
And
how do we get it or get out of here?
And I say, we gotta get to him first. And so I tell Tirsa, I say, can we get in the room?
Tirsa looks up
I
at
don't.
you.
No plans to hurt the fella.
She says,
I mean, unless he tries to escape, like we can subdue him, most likely.
You're thinking too far ahead.
she says, "I understand that." She looks over at Yurok and says, "Yurok, why don't you wait outside? You'll know if I need you." And he nods, walks out the door, and closes it. She looks back at the rest of you and says, "To understand, this is my prisoner, and I went through a great deal of trouble to get him where he is now. I think you know something. The obvious guess is you know something about the location of the item. I've obviously consented to let your group round them up rather than hoard them all to myself, but I can't deny wanting to get something out of this for myself if I'm going to be helping you retrieve that particular prize."
Sorry, my sound cut out.
Oh, okay.
So last thing I heard was, sounds like we know something about the location of the item, and then I didn't get anything.
And then she said, "Given all the trouble I went through to get him there, I've consented to let your group continue to keep the items. Not that I have a whole lot of choice, mind you. But I feel like to let you retrieve something off of my prisoner, I feel like it is only fair that I should get something out of that, yes."
Like what?
I mean, I feel like it's a little unfair to say that you and being ambivalent for letting us keep the vestiges is a little not real, because we apparently can't use any of them without catastrophic things happen.
That's
Well,
fair.
and also, they're ours. And second, you've got a prisoner, and claiming ownership of a person. Just saying, kind of uncool.
She, you know what? Give me. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it persuasion. Okay.
Wow.
She looks up at you and says, "Fine, just please, whatever happens, use it for all of our good. And she sort of sits back a little bit defeated looking.
So I say, look at us. Besides Kane, we're here to save the world. we're here to save Einengren.
She smirks a little bit ruefully. Says, I get it. She walks over to the door, opens it up. Come back in, Yurok. And she says, I'm going to let them see the prisoner. And he nods. And she sits back down. And then Yurok says, alright, so here's how this works. See that door? There's one more like it. Together they block any sort of magic cast within the cell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open the first door. You're going to walk into the space between the two doors. It's only about 3 feet. About 3 of you can fit in there at a time. Then I'm going to close the outer door and open up the inner door, and you can do what you need to do. Just rap on the outer door when you need me to close the inner one. Got it?
Like 3 of us, including me, or like not me also?
Probably like Gamork, myself, and Colleen.
He looks at you and says, it's really just as many as can squeeze in. He looks at you, Maxis. You could fit in if you wanted to. It'd just be uncomfortable.
I'll stay out here unless there is something to be murdered. Then I suppose.
Very well. He gestures towards the 2 tubes behind him. Perhaps you'll want to take a look inside before you go in, so you know the layout.
I ping your minds real quick. I'm just like, if we go in and he has a cape of delusion, could not the whole thing be an illusion?
Fallon says, I have it on good authority it's not.
And how exactly are we supposed to retrieve this?
I'll show you.
Well, that's reassuring. No magic, and I just have Fallon's word. That's just right.
Just have a dagger ready. We're good.
I go take a look through the pipe.
Okay. You look through, and you see a square cell about 10 feet on each side. It's surprisingly clean looking, considering how long you gather this person has been in there. There's a little latrine on one side, a small, just very flat mat by one side, and he's sitting in the corner. He's got shackles on both legs, but not on his arms. The Dragonborn himself is surprisingly handsome. And you're again kind of weirded out by that. You wouldn't expect that for somebody who'd been holed up for so long. Like you're almost vaguely attracted to the guy, even though he's a Dragonborn.
That's
that
racist.
Said, he does have. I mean, she's an elf.
Still racist.
That said, he's as you look at him a bit more closely. Give me insight.
Things Clean is good at.
As you look at him a bit more closely, really good-looking guy.
I want to look through the binoculars as well.
Okay, give me insight. You mostly see what Colleen sees, but I'll see if you get any extra. Okay,
are you going?
You notice? Oh, sorry.
Are you gonna go in as well, Aaron, or is it just gonna be those two? I mean, I don't know if Mork is actually gonna be a real asset in this conversation here, guys.
Hey, he's a good boy.
Aaron
can come too. I don't care. Anybody can go if we can all.
I'm gonna try and squeeze in.
Okay. So, Fallon, you look in and you notice everything Colleen noticed. But you do see he's rather wide-eyed. Um, you get the sense like manic depressive, not stable. You're not
He
sure.
needs Gamork. That's what
Can
he
I
needs.
can I look in?
Take a peek, my friend. Gamork's gonna be a service dog today.
Okay.
Do
All
I
right.
roll insight too, then, or what do I do?
Yeah, sure. Oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
I have plus it.
Yeah. So you do sense the depth of what's going on here, even though physically he looks remarkably good, actually. Like scales gleaming, handsome, strong. Um,
I am, son.
you can tell that he's broken inside.
Oh.
Okay, so after you all finish scoping the place out, your rock slides open the first door. You all sort of cram in a little bit because, Colleen is kind of small. Gamork can sort of press up and like squeeze around you guys, but it's a fairly tight fit.
I would like to scritch Gamork behind the ears.
Okay. Give me animal handling.
I did not think he was gonna say Gamork.
That's a 22.
Okay. He
Who's a good boy?
you know the happy growl?
Yeah.
Gamork gives you a happy growl. Colleen, give me sleight of hand.
Why is Colleen doing sleight of hand?
Does anyone have a passive perception that is, 13 or higher, or above a 13?
I have 14.
16.
Both of you notice Colleen slip a hand into a pocket and retrieve a shiny-looking amulet and start to lift it towards her head.
What
Okay.
is this amulet?
That's normal.
It's the Amulet of Foresight. You recognize it.
Oh, how fancy of Colleen.
What does that do again?
So we're in the room now?
So the first door is closed. The second one is about to open. You've got like
Okay.
a couple seconds. I'm waiting to see if you want to react to what you're noticing Colleen doing. Yeah, you just want to let her go for it.
So we know it's the Amulet of Foresight.
Yeah.
Okay, so we say,
And she's basically trying to slip it on.
you sure that's a good idea?
Well, if Maxis can dodge a couple dragon blows, I figure I might be able to see something I might not see otherwise. And
That's
one
bullshit.
time-
I would have totally dodged him anyway.
Please take it away from me after this, but
Where's the challenge? Don't you enjoy a challenge, Colleen?
I know, right?
Okay, the inner door starts to grind open at this point. Colleen, do you go to put it on?
yes.
Okay. Does anyone try to stop her?
What does this thing do again?
I'm not telling you have to stop her by any means. I'm just verifying.
Well, I don't remember what the amulet does exactly.
Well, you've never experienced its effects, and
But
Max is
I think
gonna
it
tell
gives
you.
her a very, very brief.
Does it look pretty?
It does look pretty.
Then I'm going to comment and say how pretty it looks.
All right.
Blush slightly,
Suits you.
also confusedly.
All right. Colleen, you slip on the amulet. Given your intent, as you put it on and it settles around your neck, you have this brief moment where you're like, oh crap, the door's already open. And then you realize the door's actually only open a few inches. You're perceiving a little bit ahead. All right, so the door finishes sliding open. The prisoner, immediately his head sort of turns up and he looks sort of, again, he actually, for the most part, looks composed and confident, but Aaron, you can see his eyes are a little bit too wide, his pupils a little bit too dilated, or actually contracted. What do they do when you're scared? Anyways, he's actually very much frightened,
Probably
Dilated is
tense.
when you're full flare flight.
Okay. All right. So
More big
he's and Fallon, you can also tell he's sort of tensed, trying to decide what he wants to do at this point.
I look over at Gamork, and I kind of nod towards the guy, like, go say hi. So Gamork, I want him to like trot over and kind of like look at the guy, like, hey man, I'm a dog.
Okay. Give me performance for Gamork.
Working on performance for Gamork. Ooh,
With
yeah.
advantage, because
Okay.
he's just being a good doggo. All right, let me think about this. Okay. You watch as the Dragonborn sort of looks confused down at Gamork for a moment, and then, like, very tentatively reaches out his hand and starts to pet the wolf. After a moment of this, he actually even seems to relax a little bit.
Cool, as intended. And his name is Reverend?
His first name is this. His nickname is this.
Deep gazer.
Eberin, okay. So you're a deep gazer, huh?
He looks up at you. What's it to you? Who are you?
Well, that's Gamork, pointing to the dog.
And he goes back to just petting Gamork. A little bit too fast, actually.
My name is Fallon. The elf is Colleen. Erin's just a human, right?
Easy there.
Yeah, okay. This is Erin, and this is us. And I say, and he's sitting down, petting Gamork.
Yeah.
I say, you look pretty tense.
How are you here? I haven't seen anyone but the Goliath, and I just
You look like you could use a shoulder rub.
eyes snap back onto you. They narrow a bit. Get out. Get out, get out, get out. I'll keep the dog. Dog's nice.
And I say, well, no, you don't keep dogs. He's his own creature. They should probably let you go, huh?
If they were gonna do that, they'd have done it a long time ago.
Yeah, damn Imra to hell, right?
What do you know about Imra?
Big fella. 2 horns, flaming sword, and a whip.
You like it that way.
Congenial when you're on his good side.
Wait, what was the last part that you said?
Congenial when you're on his good side.
Yes, yes. Perfect gentleman. Goes back to petting Gamork.
Fallon thanks to Colleen, and I don't know if it'll reach to Maxis with the magic door thing, but screw it, I tried. And I kind of walk over to him.
He tenses as you get close.
And he's sitting on the floor.
Yep, he's sitting just sort of knees up on his butt, petting the dog.
And I lean kind of to his, like I'm kind of perpendicular to him. I'm not like running face to face. I'm kind of to his side.
Okay, he sort of shifts to try to face you, and puts his back to the wall.
Can I physically prevent him from doing that? and say,
Sure.
no, you look tense.
You want to try to grab him?
Yeah.
Let me see.
I want to force him to where I can give him a back rub.
Give me athletics.
I'm gonna study them very, very carefully.
God damn it.
Okay. You sort of try to grab him over the shoulder, and he squirms away and puts his back up against the wall. What are you doing?
I look at Gamork and get him to whine.
Give me
Like he's
performance
upset.
with advantage. He just sort of eyes you both suspiciously, and then just sort of stares you down.
And I say, did you think you would keep it forever?
His eyes go wide. Let me need to check something actually. Okay, this hasn't actually come up yet. Okay.
Oh, I can actually see Maxis now.
All right. Okay. Colleen, you're aware of what's happening a few seconds in advance. When you know that when Fallon says this, a few moments later, or actually, no, let me pause because I don't actually know how this is going to work. Okay, Fallon, the Dragonborn chained to the wall says, "You can't have it!" He stands up with great strength. He rips off both of the manacles that are binding his feet. He summons a red flame to his fist.
I'd like to try and grab his arm and restrain him.
And goes to punch Fallon. All right, I need all right, so you try to do that. Fallon, how do you respond to this?
I call
And
it to
speak for
Fallon to
Gamork
warn
as
him.
well.
Can I like duck and like try to like tackle him?
Okay, yep, you can do that.
And Gamork can get him by the ankle.
Okay, so Fallon, Aaron, Gamork, the three of you are sort of reacting, trying to like dodge, restrain, do whatever to try to prevent what's happening. Colleen, though, we're now back to a few seconds before all this began. You see Fallon and Aaron and Gamork reacting to, you're not quite sure what, actually. You see Fallon lunge towards the empty air and sort of hit his head against the side of the wall. You see Gamork snapping at the empty air. You see Aaron sort of lunging over this empty space and tripping and falling into the wall. And you see the prisoner still chained to the ground, hunched up like he was before.
I'm gonna just calmly make my way over to him
Okay.
and just sit down next to him and look at him very intently.
Okay. So Fallon, Aaron, everything that I just said happens. Well, actually, no, you don't perceive that, though. What you perceive is that you are still fighting with this Dragonborn who has summoned balls of flame to his fist. You're trying to restrain him, you're trying to pin him down, but he keeps dealing these heavy blows. And actually, let me see here. Gamork takes 10 psychic damage. Fallon takes 5 psychic damage. Aaron takes 6 psychic damage. Meanwhile, Colleen, you slip through this entire scene and sit down and just look directly at Everin. Give me an intimidation check.
Intimidation. Not really going for intimidating.
Okay. Oh, well, I mean, I'm just naturally reacting to
Yeah.
what you're doing, though. Okay. He looks over at you, and you see confusion on his features.
You may have the simple ones outmatched, but I believe we have a different. Believe we can talk about this. How about I trade you these warm clothes for that cape of yours? I'll rid you of that burden.
Give me persuasion.
I have a +7 to that.
He looks over at you. You know they'll just take everything from me, and I can't let you take the one thing that they can't.
If we take that from you, you'll be free to go and you'll have your life. And you won't be here.
I won't be free to go. They'll murder me, and you know it.
What makes you say that?
Do you know where we are?
Some fortress in the middle of a tundra.
Some fortress. You know more than you let on, elf.
The point is, they're going to have it one way or the other, and you... I know it's very hard to part with something that's that powerful, but for the sake of the world and for yourself, it would be better for you to relinquish it to us.
You can't have it! And he lunges at you with his claws. Okay, so first of all, I need. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I want to choose not to react.
Okay, interesting. So Fallon, Gamork, and Ernan. How do we want to do this? All right, so fighting in close quarters, I am going to say the three of you give me strength saving throws. Okay.
Getting them rolls on today.
Okay. You're battling with this illusion, but you you manage to dodge taking any more illusory blows. Colleen, he now has you by the neck and is looking into your eyes.
So Gamark has, I don't know if it matters, but he has advantage in all saving throws when he can see me.
Okay, right. Okay. And he just has a wide-eyed, manic expression. Tell me why I should squeeze your neck and keep my prize.
Isn't he chained to the floor?
Not his arms.
Well,
should have told the party what was up, man. Trying to be sneaky. Fool the simpletons, because I have a special device that lets me see the future.
I'm just gonna embrace him.
Interesting.
We had a good run, Colleen.
Interesting. Give me another persuasion check. Okay. He holds you, but doesn't squeeze. Fallon, Ernan, and Gamork, you watch as Eberyn, it's really rather disturbing. He vomits up some kind of green slime that
Ugh.
sprays out at all of you. Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Is Colleen able to dodge since she's in the line?
Not at Colleen.
Oh. Is this still the illusion nonsense?
Gamork dodges it, but Ernan and Fallon, it strikes against your ankles, and you're now just stuck to the ground where you are. You can't move.
I shout at them, would you guys please be quiet?
They can't hear you.
Are my hands free?
Yes, but you're not particularly close. You could still like try to pull out a weapon or something, potentially. But I'm gonna come back to Colleen. Colleen, for a long moment, he just holds you by the neck. And then you feel it loosen slightly. And he melts against you and starts sobbing.
See, compassion's not so different. Animals and people.
When does the illusion die?
Nope, doesn't die. As a matter of fact, Mort, give me another dexterity save.
Gamork?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Mort specifically.
Because he hasn't taken enough damage.
Okay, he's still dodging around. But Colleen,
You could give up this fight and lead a normal life.
There is no life for me, and I can't give it up.
As a necromancer, I can assure you there is very much still life in you.
The only life that I'll have is your kind.
Is my what?
Your kind.
My kind.
As in, not life. That was my intention.
Well, I'm going to give him a very genuine squeeze. And then I'm going to... Well, I don't even know...
He looks up at you and says, "Kill me."
Well, that's not the way to handle... I mean...
Please, kill me and you can have it.
You could hand it over. Or tell me how to get it away from you. I'm sure it has you.
I can't hand it over. If you kill me, I'll let you have it.
Where is it? Where have you hidden it?
I'm wearing it.
You are.
Look. This is taking everything I have. Will you kill me if I give it to you?
I hug him really hard and then I try to yank it off. Just a full like...
Okay, alright, so you're just grabbing like where a cape should be and pulling?
Yeah, like the grabbing really tight around the shoulders and then...
Okay, give me a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh!
Oh shit. Okay, and so just so you know what this was for if you actually believed what you were doing, because you still can't see the cape.
I just want to state that I'm glad that I signed my soul up for this information for Colleen just to randomly hit a nat 20 on the believe check. That's super legit.
But yeah, I mean, because you can't even, like, as you grab where it should be, you can't feel it. But you just pull straight up, and in that moment, you are holding. I wrote down the appearance of this somewhere. Where did I write down the appearance? Ah, there we go. All right. You are holding a cape of glossy black linen with silver stitching around the neck and on the bottom. And Colleen, as you pull that out, Fallon, Aaronin, Gamork, suddenly the situation has changed and you see things as they actually are. You are not glommed with green goo to the floor. You are not fighting a dragonborn wielding fists of fire. You are, in fact, just sort of jumbled in various positions in the room. Fallon, you're kind of on top of Aaronin, actually. Um, uh, Gamork sort of growls and snaps as he realizes he slammed his head into the wall. And the Dragonborn is just sort of leaning against the wall, actually just sobbing again.
I guess I just like fall back with the cape.
Fallon says, "How about that back rub?"
So, how did this look to me watching through the other window?
You perceived the illusion, actually.
Hmm.
So if you've been watching this entire time, so you wouldn't have heard the entire conversation between Colleen and Ebrin. You would have perceived the group fighting with this Dragonborn who had somehow escaped his shackles. But then suddenly you see him still chained to the wall, see him collapse, sobbing, and you see Colleen holding up this cape.
Huh.
I got it. I try to
And-
take off the amulet.
And as you say, okay, give me a, I think I made it a wisdom saving throw. Give me a wisdom saving throw. Alright. So let me see here. You're like, okay, I'm probably done with this. I should take it off. And then you think, no, why should I
Isn't
take it
this
off?
lovely?
This is very useful. Bad things could happen if I take it off. And you just sort of tuck it down inside the collar of your
Lovely.
cloak.
Well, I'm collapsed on the floor with the cape.
Okay. Are you guys trying to do anything else in here, or are you just going to eventually gather yourselves and leave?
I guess I want to ask the guy a question still.
All right. So at this point, I'll say you're sort of standing safely away from him, and you look down at him and say,
What did you want to do with the rest of your life?
he stops for a moment. You hear some sniffling, and he wipes himself off. And when he turns around to face you, you'd seen this, yes, a little bit mad looking, but very handsome face before. And now you see the face of someone completely broken. You see all the wear that you would expect for somebody in solitary confinement for a long time. Not just worry lines, just general signs of being poorly kept, broken teeth, all of these kind of things. And he looks back up at you and says, "There's no more life for me. There's no more afterlife for me." What? That's a funny question.
I would like to give him a hug.
Well, I was, yeah.
Okay. Give me. I'll make it your choice of persuasion or performance. Because
Persuasion it is.
it's kind of in a weird spot for the normal checks. So
That's a 7.
that's a 7. Okay, you sort of reach down and you embrace him for just a moment, and he sort of shoves you away and goes back to just sort of curling up in the fetal position.
So my next question is, what was Imra on with you about?
What? Why should I tell you anything at this point? Just go.
And I say, no wonder you don't have any friends.
You know what? Actually, though, to see if he does answer you, give me persuasion. Okay. He says, "Look, I was supposed to take over the guild. You got it. I found this thing, and that's what I had to do. I didn't do it, and now I'm finished. Enough."
Imra's orders? Or a shawl?
What's in a shawl?
It's another word for jackass.
Well, I've made myself a pretty little jackass, and I imagine I've been led around by a jackass, too. Look, if you know what's good for you, you won't wear that, alright? Now get out!
Okay, good luck. And as I mumble as I'm walking away, try to help a fella, jeez.
Okay.
And I walk out the door.
You leave the broken man on the ground, sort of squeeze into the space, and knock. Ready. A moment later, you hear the door grind shut behind you, and then the other one opens up, and you just see Tirsa again, sort of lifting an eyebrow and she says, "Well, we heard some interesting things come down the pipe."
And
Care
I
to share
assume
anything?
is Colleen just carrying the cape in her hands?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Her eyes do pass over the cape.
Is it a human-sized cape, or how, I guess? So it would
One
look
size
really
fits
funny.
all.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty one size fits all. So if you're particularly tall like Maxis, it would be pretty short on you.
Yeah, that's
If
what I was
you're
thinking about. How
like,
funny it would look.
if you're like a half, like, so basically, if a halfling were to wear it, it would kind of drag on the ground.
Like a snuggie.
Or at least that's the way it looks. It might be adaptable for all you know. And actually, I should say it's something of a cloak as well. So it actually pins in the front, and it's not just a cape down the back. It actually like wraps around to the front.
Fallon says, "Well, looks like Colleen managed the cape or whatever it's called, and he's you know, he has it no more."
Well, and actually, she looks up at Maxis. Excuse me, Maxis. Can I take a look?
Yeah, go for it.
Thanks. She looks for a moment and says, well, that makes some sense. Something about that cape must have been making him look like more of a man than he really was." And she sort of frowns. Well,
And,
I suppose you have what you came for then?
to be honest, he was kind of a jerk. Aaron tried to give him a hug, and he was. I mean, I don't know how you treat people like that.
You should have met him when he wasn't a prisoner. Or rather, you shouldn't, because he was even more of a jerk.
Yeah, he said he was trying to take over your fancy guild.
There was that. Well, shall we get going?
Um, are we gonna rest at all ever?
I mean, it's morning.
Oh,
Do I
yeah, that's
have
right.
free will to talk about the amulet, or am I like, oh no, this is precious. It doesn't exist to anyone anymore.
Tell me what you want to say, and then I'll tell you if you can say it.
I was just like, does anyone remember that I told them to take it away from me after?
That's a good point. So Aaronin and Fallon, give me an intelligence check, just straight intelligence, to see if you...
I mean, I, as a person, remembered. I guess we'll see if my character.
Or actually, intelligence or wisdom, I'll allow either.
Oh, well, if it's wisdom, that's
Yeah,
me.
you can go and roll wisdom. Okay.
Just straight wisdom.
Or intelligence, either one. Just to remember.
Or wait, no.
Hello, wisdom.
That's not 18.
Oh.
That's 14.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, Aaronin and
Nice.
Fallon, at this point, you both remember that Colleen said to take the amulet away from her.
I said, so I walk up to Colleen. Colleen still has the cape.
Yeah.
And I say, it's a pretty cape. We need to figure out who should hold it. Okay. And,
I would like to attempt to give Colleen a shoulder rub.
and I say, about that amulet, Colleen.
What amulet?
The one you didn't take off.
At
that's
this
mine.
point, being confronted, Colleen, you may repeat the wisdom save if you would like.
Yes.
Okay, you can hand it over if you want to.
Yes. Get it away from me.
Okay. Now, that being said, you do feel that relief that you're currently indicating, but you do still feel a tug of regret as you're kind of like, okay, sort of shyly, and you pull it off and hand it to Fallon.
Oh, those things are dangerous and intoxicating.
Yeah,
Let me
we're
try
gonna
on the cape.
I'm gonna stuff the cape in my bag.
Alan said, we gotta stop trying this one on, or no one else is gonna be able to carry it.
I guess Fallon now has the amulet.
Yeah, so I guess transfer that. What I
Hey,
say
that's
it was,
my
0.1, 0.2?
that's my amulet.
It was
This
point
is-
one.
Alright.
Shenanigans.
How much is the cape?
The cape is £1. The Cape of Delusion. And actually, just because the way that I'm doing this, I'm sort of giving you the rules for them as you get them. There's a lot of rules here, but I'll go ahead and just slack it to you. Let me just make sure that all of this is right. Yep. Okay. So Brave, here is what the cape does. And actually, it probably makes sense. Does it? Yeah, I guess Imra gave Fallon some of this information as well, so I'll just give it to you too.
Well, I mean, one thing is the way some of these items are being passed around. I don't know why the whole party can't know.
I mean, you can tell them. I'm just only specifically handing it out. I mean, if you want to just, like, slack it to other people, I'm cool with that. But for now,
Okay.
I've slacked it to you guys.
Slack it to me.
All right. Yeah. So Tirsa sort of walks over to the door, opens it up. Colleen gives you sort of a meaningful look, but she smiles as she like a little wryly as you exit the room. And then together with her and Yurak, you leave that room. Let me see here. I have to remember what actually happens. Oh yeah. So you exit the room. You head back out into that little cave. And Tirsa says, "I need to make some preparations for our journey. If any of you could draw some kind of map as to where we're going, I'd appreciate it." Kane volunteers for that. And then Tirsa says, Iraq, can you lead them out and help them make whatever preparations they need to make? Tuli can help too. And I'll meet you all back in the usual spot when I'm ready.
That is a mouthful.
Oh, yeah, the rules.
Information.
It turns out that when you're making rules about how illusions work, you have to be
very
really
specific.
Yeah, right. All right. So, anyone saying anything in particular to Tirsa, or are you just letting Yurok sort of lead you out?
I have nothing to say to her.
All right, cool. So Yurok leads you back up to, again, that sort of main area where you've been this entire time. Toli's waiting there. And she's actually finishing the last of a glass of beer that she poured herself. You, at this point, are going to have a couple hours to sort of tend to whatever needs tended to. Colleen totally will take you back to the storage closet and help you retrieve your skeleton from the closet.
Yay.
Anyone else looking to make any sort of preparations during these next couple hours?
How many hours?
About 2.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you're looking to transcribe a spell scroll, you can make progress on it. Like, you don't have to do it all at once.
I will make progress on it.
Okay, you make 2 hours of progress then, spending, 50 gold, I think, for that progress.
Can I read my bestiary book?
Yes, you can do that. Have I been calling it a nature check? Give me a nature check.
Working on such.
Actually, 2 nature checks for 2 hours.
I need to get paid for something or like rob my family.
Wow, Fallon. I'm going to give you a pity progress point because you did spend 2 hours reading in a fairly comfortable setting. You were a little distracted. You've been thinking about what's happening, where you're going.
He's distracted by me coming up to him and saying, Fallon, let's put the amulet on Colleen's skeleton. It's the perfect plan. It has no will of its own, so it'll immediately give us it back. And it'll become actually useful for once. It'll be a fantastic thing.
The skeleton can't talk, right?
It can communicate non-verbally.
Right.
Or you just have to always watch it for hand gestures. What's about to happen? No. If I give Colleen a scroll, can she copy into her spell book or whatever?
If it's a spell.
That's kind of what wizards do. They can just copy stuff.
Is it a scroll of comprehend language?
Oh, I think she already copied that one because you got it off of Alistair.
Okay.
Yes, I do have that.
Never mind.
We just never have 10 minutes for me to sit and be like, you know what, I feel like understanding this right now.
2 hours.
Can I see about pulling some of the teeth out of this dragon head?
Yeah,
the
sure.
bottom,
And
like
you
the
actually,
bottom row.
yeah, and you actually have proper tools for it now. So, yeah, just just use your, and we called them cook's tools, but you could, if you want to rename those, feel free. It's really like field dressing tools or something like that. I'm not sure, but go ahead and just give me a check with that, and that'll determine how good of a job you do at this.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you have plenty of time to work, so you get them all out clean. You've got 20 teeth. Or actually, wait a minute. It's a whole dragon skull. I'm sorry. That's going to be probably quite a few teeth. So this'll take most of the time to accomplish. But I'm just going to pull up a picture of a dragon and see how many teeth that would be.
So,
So
did anyone...
I'm just pulling off like the bottom row now.
Oh, just the bottom row?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I am going to say that you've got 16 dragon teeth.
Okay.
Does anyone have an idea of what we should do now? That was, well, we wrapped that up rather quickly.
If you are working on a spell scroll this
Aren't we
entire...
supposed to?
you
Okay,
have a few minutes.
I'm remembering now. I'm remembering. We were supposed to go check on Innis, right?
That was your planned next destination.
We were going to get teleported.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but in terms of these artifacts, we have the one that we were searching for, and we know nothing about the others.
Well, I may have found some stuff, and I have a pit stop that we should make in a little place in Gavila on the way.
I give you a very high-arched eyebrow.
Is this skull still 18 pounds total?
Yeah.
Or have I ditched some of the weight by losing the bottom jaw?
Whatever you say, that like the combined weight is still the same. So you can.
Right.
So if
I'll just leave it as that, and then I'll just say that it's
yeah, I mean, alternatively, you could like subtract a pound and call 16 teeth 1 pound. But like, what I'd actually suggest is just put 16 teeth on a line with no weight and keep the weight of the skull the same.
That's what I did.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, so Fallon mentioned a pit stop, and Colleen arched an eyebrow.
Here, pit stop to where?
Just to remind Fallon, I will pull up the map, and it is Tullius Carr.
Yeah.
Well, would we know where that is?
Well, wait, what does Fallon say?
Fallon just said a pit stop, so and Colleen gave me the arched eyebrow, and my next planned statement was, "Look, I got some information. It wasn't cheap. I have to go knock over some headstones or something for a friend, and it's not on Einengrun, it's in Gavila. And I happen, who's all around us right now? Is Thule here?
Yeah.
And I say, well, wait a minute, Thule. How long did you always work for Tirsa?
No.
Okay. Can you like leave for a minute?
She looks at you. Sighs. Come on, Rock. Let's give them some privacy.
I just don't know. You seem nice, but
No, I get it. And
Assassin's Guild and all.
She flips you a wave as they walk down the hallway.
Okay, cool. And I turn back to everybody and I say, okay, the Axe of Sundering is in some mountains and I pull out my scroll real quick. Yeah, in the Halal Peaks, kind of in the middle one. And then two of them, the Gauntlet of Suffusion and the Chalice of Prosperity is in the damned it's north of some sort of cliffs and south of the Titarus Peak in that area, probably with some Shaw bastards. And was that all of them?
Yeah, at this point you have 4 of them, so you're just missing the 3. So there's
I was like,
one
and
somewhere
that's the
down
rest.
here.
So they're not actually, in Einengru the rest. So we'd have to go outside to get them, and maybe when we go see Innes, she can tell us how to get there.
Catch me
Should
outside.
I mean we could do that. I mean we should definitely probably go see Innes. Should we also? Should we also maybe route the demon invasion that's going on right now, and then we could
I think
use.
routing the demon invasion is only done by combining all the items, right?
Well, okay, I will remind you of something at this point, which is... Well, actually, you know what? Give me an intelligence check.
Is this an open intelligence check?
Yeah, sure, you can make it too. Although Maxis and Ernan can't.
I figured.
Son of a mother, let's go.
Yeah, you don't remember this, Fallon, but Colleen, you remember that now that you think about it, Innes never exactly said why she was asking you to pick up all these things. So first of all, it wasn't just the vestiges. It was the vestiges, the 3
the dragon
creation
spirits.
stones, and the 5 dragon spirits. Moreover, you didn't get a clear explanation from her of why she wanted you to get all these things. Also, the thing that was on her mind was the giant tentacle monster, which she said was associated with, she called them the Sons of Koal.
The Sons of what?
Koal.
Okay,
Koal.
your voice just dropped for her.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Who apparently are some kind of creatures of non-being. Basically, whenever something really weird has randomly happened, fair guess it's them. And that was what was on her mind when she said to pick up all this stuff, not the demon army. So as much as that's what you've been focusing on, it occurs to you at this point that you're not 100% sure whether these things will actually help against the demon army. And maybe it'd be worth clarifying that with Innes.
No shit.
She wasn't exactly in a clear frame of mind when she gave you that
I was
direction,
pretty sure
remember?
that we had the very real insinuation that from her and Tavrith that it was the right thing to do to fix the issues for Einengrun.
They did say it was the right thing to do.
It is how we
I just.
pull an Ungren back into the real world instead of its pocket. But
Well, no, I thought that was if we destroy the mirror thing,
It was. That's correct.
the looking glass. That would bring it back, and then everybody could just show up, and any old riffraff could show up in town.
But none of that helpless murders demons, probably.
I just love the fact that it's very possible that we've been out just screwing around, doing something else entirely instead of trying to save Einengrun from the demon army.
So, now that being said, that bit about the looking glass, Cyphera, you do know that destroying it with that ritual you have on good word will just banish all of the demons immediately. It'll do other things that may or may not be desirable, but it will do that.
I do have all the ritual stuff in my inventory.
I also want to make a note that I find it great that Maxis is over here oh yeah, we can go talk to him, blah blah blah. Clean and I and Kane met the god Innes and Maxis. Sorry, I just love the way it's let's just we can go talk to that. No big deal talking to that god, just.
Yeah, this is the goddess of knowledge.
I mean, we did.
Now, Colleen,
which
though,
I would have almost no use for.
Now, Colleen, though, you did all of this that I just sort of laid out for you. This is just stuff that you're thinking.
Yeah, do
so,
share.
did you share that? We
Yes.
can just sort of declare that general working out of things sort of happened. In character.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool.
So then can we also declare that Fallon had the thought out loud that, well, what the fuck have we been doing?
Yeah, sure. So we pick up with Fallon saying that.
Yeah, and then some asshole put snow in my backpack, and we're not even out here to save the world.
Come to think of it, we really have
looks
only
hurt.
dealt with one dragon spirit, also. Supposedly.
Did we though?
Well, wasn't Tovrith one of them?
I don't really know. There's the room.
Colleen and Fallon can both give me another straight intelligence check.
Doing
Okay,
great.
you get no help from me.
No, he's there already at the mountain. Maybe he is. But like, okay, so there's the creation stones, which I thought we already had.
We have 2.
We have 2 creation stones out of I can't remember how many. 3. So we're missing one of those. We need the dragon spirits, which there may be one just hanging out where we need to put it if Tovrith is one. And then we have 4 of the 7
Vestiges.
I'm just saying, like, meeting a god is a little bit bigger than
Alright.
disappearing castles. Right?
So if this conversation continues much longer, I'm going to declare that those things, that point of reading the book and those 2 hours of working on the scroll didn't happen, because there's not much time for more than a few minute conversation.
All right, well, let's just move on.
All right. Also, does anyone have a passive perception of 21 or higher?
21?
21.
I don't even know how this is calculated.
Someone open Kane's sheet. It's probably not, because I think it's based on your...
I don't think I can. I think I... Yeah,
What's
no.
it based on?
No, mine's 15.
Okay, it is at the left under all your ability scores. It'll auto-calculate. It's mostly just your perception.
Yeah, I already see. Mine's 16, so...
Okay. All right. So a few hours later, you've sort of been working on your various things. Aaron, were you using the time for anything? The other 3 already said something.
Not particularly, no.
All right. So about 2 hours later, you're just sort of all sitting around, working on your various stuff. Maxis, you've just finished cleaning off tooth number 16, and Tirsa appears around the corner. Okay, ready to go. You notice that she's changed clothes, which you expected, and she's wearing what could generously be called studded leather armor, although noticing the short leather skirt and low-cut top, you're sort of curious about the functionality of what she's chosen to wear. She looks pretty nice, though. A pack is slung across her back, and she says, "We can leave directly from here, but I would advise you to brace yourselves. I've never been where we're going, and that can make for a difficult journey. So, everyone who's coming along, I just need you all to gather around in a circle, join hands and pause."
I gather my zombie and double check my entire inventory.
Interesting. I pick up Gamork, I guess.
Okay.
Since it would be odd for him to like hold hands with 2 people.
All right. That should work. Totally.
Who?
Go ahead, sorry.
Who all's coming with us? Is it just Tirsa and Toli, or is
just
Yarok
Tirsa and
going
Toli. Yarok is staying behind, and then all of you.
Realized Tully was coming along.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She jumps right in the circle. Gives you a little weak smile. Okay. She is also dressed in sort of road wear at this point, so she actually, let me see, what kind of thing? Oh yeah. I mean, so she's actually wearing thicker clothing that you know, Fallon, you wore one of these, you would definitely notice. Others probably notice as well. She's actually has like a breastplate on under her clothes. Definitely seems road ready, if you will. Okay. And you all join hands. Tirsa mutters a few words, and you feel a jerking sensation as the world around you swirls into a blur of color. You open your eyes. Though mildly disorienting, the journey wasn't as bad as you feared based on Tirsa's warning. And you're standing on a rough path leading up Tovrith's Peak. The air is chill, though warmer than the glacier, and you're surrounded by pine and fir trees. Fallon and Colleen, give me survival. Gamork, give me survival too.
I can't roll to save my life.
Okay, Colleen recognizes and Gamork recognizes as well. This is, and I mean, you would know generally what's going on. You're in the same basic area as when you were close to the entrance to Tovrith's cave. Gamork and Colleen both realize you're actually incredibly close to the spot where you left the path when Anya sort of was like, wait, I know where we need to go. As you all settle down, you hear Tirsa sort of say softly to herself, still got it. She looks around at you and says, I believe this should be fairly close. And Gamork sort of barks Fallon and sort of trots a short distance off to the left. And you, in addition to Colleen, recognize the spot where you left the path before.
Close enough. Is this before the manticores or after the manticores?
Well after. That was like on the plain leading up to the mountain.
Okay, so the balance is, thanks for getting us past the manticores.
She just smirks a little bit.
So I guess we follow Gamork's lead.
Okay. So yeah.
So how close are we to like to the entrance or whatever? Like,
Not very far, it turns out. You walk about a quarter mile off the path over a little bit of rough terrain, but then you reach a familiar outcropping of rock. Gamork just sort of jumps and not perfectly gracefully, but like dogs do going down steep slopes, sort of trots down, and you look over and see the entrance to the cave.
Fallon turns to Tirsa, or Colleen actually, and says, how do I look?
Excuse me. How do you look?
Presentable?
Like any wild man with a dog, I suppose.
I take offense at that.
So Fallon says, oh right, yes, your majesty, I forgot. And he says, Tirsa, how do I, or he goes, Thule, do I look presentable?
Let me see something here real quick. She says, actually, look pretty good. Especially considering how long you've been on the road.
Kane is just seething.
Absolute. She takes
I smirk.
She takes a few steps closer to you, and then go ahead. What were you saying?
I was just saying I was smirked. I don't know what you're.
Oh, okay. She takes a few steps closer to you, and then a step back, and says, "So long as you don't get too close, you look great." You guys run the road a long time, right?
Yeah.
Or actually, no, never mind. I take that back. I take all that back because you guys all took a bath at the Ice Palace. So
Yeah.
probably not even that bad. So I take all that back. She
And it's
doesn't
been cold.
throw that in.
We didn't even have time to sweat.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right. So
And
you
so I
good,
just
you
smirk.
good.
I smirk and turn towards the entrance. Now, didn't we have to fight some nonsense in here last time?
You did. The rock people. Um, so
Oh yeah.
so you all headed into the cave.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, you Actually, let me.
What happens if you use mold earth on a rock elemental?
Interesting question. Probably. I don't think it does things, but I'm just gonna switch this. This is actually the inside, but we'll actually no. This works. All right. So you enter the cave. The terrain is difficult, always uphill or downhill, winding deep into the mountain. An opalescent mist fills the air. No living thing greets you as you pass through the tunnel. And
Fallon points out to everybody not to try to pry any gems from the walls.
well, there aren't gems yet.
Okay, well, when we get there.
All right. Yeah, I know this picture has them for getting there. And finally, though, actually, when you get to the last chamber where there's a waterfall that you can hear a bit in the distance, you do see a few glowing gemstones on the wall. And you might say that then.
Yeah. I assume I also acquired the mirror from Alistar's pack. I don't think it was listed.
Did I not list that?
I don't believe so.
Well, let me think. Considering the order of events. Yeah, sure. You have that. So you just have two of them? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, when you say not to take the gems, you see Kane sort of sulk a little bit.
Yeah, I think I probably locked eyes with him when I said it.
Give me, you know what? Give me intimidation. Yeah, Kane withers a little bit. So finally, you reach the waterfall at the end of the cave. You sort of pause there for a moment, and Tully sort of looks back and forth at you all and says, "So this is where we're going?"
I can't remember how we got in. Did something open up or?
I believe what happened was Tavrith showed up and we talked him out of killing us.
Okay, so you would remember this,
and then he
actually.
just walked around too. Yeah.
The entrance is through the waterfall.
Okay. So yeah, I'll say, hope you don't mind a bit of water.
Okay, and then you do anything, or are you just saying that?
I skip through the low-lying water towards the waterfall.
Okay.
I skip after him.
Okay.
I wait, expecting them to crash into the wall, and then I guess I follow.
All right, so Fallon, you skip through the waterfall. Aaron, you skip through a moment after. You exit onto a sort of medium-sized outcropping of rock. Aaron, you didn't quite know what to expect, and you very suddenly stop yourself to make sure that you don't go tumbling off the rock and into the underground lake below. But yeah, you make it through the waterfall. A moment later, Tully comes through, and you see her sort of sputter and shake herself off as she makes her way under the water. Tirsa steps through after her, significantly more composed. As a matter of fact, she barely looks wet. And then the rest of the group follows. So
I immediately use prestidigitation and dry myself.
all right. Brilliant. It just occurred to me. Okay, that's fine. So, as before, you sort of exit into a large cave. It's illuminated with light from many gemstones set into the wall. Fallon and Colleen, give me investigation. The water from the waterfall crashes down into a lake, and stairs wind down from the waterfall to the floor of the cavern. Colleen, you notice that the light. So again, like the entire chamber is just illuminated by the light from all these gemstones, rubies, sapphires, emeralds, tourmaline, all this stuff set into the wall. Colleen, you notice it's a bit dimmer than when you were here before. On the other side of the cavern, opposite this, and there are stairs that wind down from the platform that you're on to the floor of the cavern. On the other side, you can see a great castle, its main arch rising 20 feet, its every surface gleaming with precious metals, and its door shut.
Well, I think we're here.
How much do you think we'd get for one of these doors?
Probably more dragon teeth than you want. Can I give it the old shaven haircut knock?
Okay, so I just want to make it clear, like you exited the waterfall into like one side of a fairly large cavern, so you do have to like
okay.
walk down the stairs, walk all the way around the lake, but you do that. As you, yeah. Actually, wait, let me see here. Okay, right. So you get to the large door and you just like knock on it.
Yeah.
Okay. You knock. Nothing happens. You wait about 30, 40 seconds. Nothing.
I look kind of either direction, push on the door to see if it goes.
Nope.
Did we do something special to get in before?
The doors were open before.
Oh. I knock a lot harder.
I'd like
You know
to
what?
ritual cast detect magic.
Okay. Fallon, give me a strength check. Aaron, you go and start your ritual. It'll take a little while, but noted.
It'll take 10 minutes.
Hold on, it's giving me like a hard. Like it doesn't want to open my character sheet now. 1 second.
Yep.
Does it seem to be like latched closed or just like heavy?
So the door is massive. It's like
What,
20 feet
strength?
tall.
Strength check.
Yeah, strength check. Probably 15 feet wide.
Damn these rolls.
Yeah, you rap on the door as hard as you can, Fallon, but it doesn't seem to be doing any good. There might be some sort of winch holding it in place, perhaps, or there could be a bar on the other side, although a bar for a door like that would be massive, so you think it's probably not that. Like, there's probably some sort of system of, like, levers or pulleys or something like that holding it shut. I mean, either that or it really is just that heavy, kind of hard to tell.
Could I just like pull out a short sword, like just a small one, and then use the base of it to rap on the door, make a louder sound, I guess? Because the door's metal, right?
Let me think. What actually would the door be made out of? Door seems to be some sort of just like stone reinforced with wrought iron.
So that it would probably make a louder noise. But regardless, I'm gonna...
Okay, you can like rap on the iron part. Yeah, sure. So you take your sword by the blade, which you can totally do safely, actually, and just murder strike the metal. Yeah, just give me strength plus proficiency.
Is this like bars that we can see through, or like a big
that would
iron door?
It's a 17.
Yeah, 17.
No, it's a completely solid door, and it's 20 feet up. You wouldn't be able to see unless you got higher somehow. Maxis, you rap on the door loudly. That's noted. Do people want to like wait a while after that happens? Because this time there's a resounding clang that sort of
Yeah.
fills the cavern.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to. Yeah.
All right. A little bit of time passes, probably about a minute, and then you hear sort of a clicking sound, and then the sound of sort of chains being wound around like a wheel of some kind, and the doors just sort of begin to open inward. So the gate slowly creaks open, gets to about 5 feet wide. On the other side, there's a large courtyard, and across the courtyard, there's another set of also very large doors, actually. And you see Anya, dressed in a simple shirt and pants. So this is a woman over 6 feet tall, copper skin, black hair. She leans against the wall near a lever, and after the door opens, like I said, about 5 feet, she pushes the lever to kind of a middle position, and the doors stop.
I assume Gamork runs as fast as he can to Anya.
Okay, so like tearing away from the rest of you.
Yeah.
Is this Anya the love of my life or Fallon's? Which Anya?
Lol.
There's only one.
All right, so
Scale of 1 to 10, how hot is she?
I mean that's subjective.
She's the babe of Venice.
But if your type is like the tall, strong type, if you're a fan of somewhat more like, sort of like more East Asian features, actually, then she's fairly hot.
I mean, basically, everybody's Aaron's type, so.
Yeah. So she's fairly attractive. She's not like
So, like, a solid, like, 8.5.
in Aaron's book. Yeah, in Aaron's book, she's probably at least close to there. Maybe like an 8.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. So Gmork goes tearing across the courtyard. The rest of you come through as well. Gmork gets to about like halfway through by the time the rest of you have come in. Anya puts the lever, let me think, it would be all the way down. The doors start closing behind you. And she sort of leans a little unsteadily against the wall. And by this time, Gmork catches up to her. You see her sort of hesitate, actually, but then reach out both of her hands and sort of start scruffing him behind the ears and the neck. And then she sort of looks at him for a moment and then actually turns around and heads in before the rest of you get close. So let me...
Okay.
So she goes inside with Gmork. So this is the so the courtyard that you guys have just crossed is out here. As you're crossing, again, Colleen and Fallon, give me a nature check. Okay, Fallon. So Colleen, you just noticed that like, they've changed the decorations out here. Interesting. Fallon, You notice that the Galabdur, those rock people who you fought before, when they're just sitting still, they look an awful lot like just rocks. And they're dotting this courtyard, actually.
Interesting.
So you all head towards the main doors. And by the way, it might be worth sort of checking out the scale on this map. I made your characters kind of big so that you could actually see them. But Gamork is not like 15 feet across. So, but the scale on this map is accurate. All of these rooms and doors are like actually huge. So you all cross the courtyard and head into a large antechamber. The walls are lined with ornate furniture and art, and a reflecting pool occupies the center. At the opposite end of the room, another pair of great doors is standing open, and Anya is standing in front of you, sort of still absently petting Gamork. She looks up at you as you come in, and sort of waves. You see, like, her mouth moves, but she doesn't say anything. And give me insight, everybody.
God damn it.
Okay. Colleen and Aaron, you can see her, like, she's trying to not to let it show, but you can see that she's getting visibly frustrated and then finally, well, okay, so I'm gonna pause for a moment. Actually, you see her sort of struggling, becoming a little frustrated.
Can Fallon just... Well, Fallon doesn't get it. I mean, I guess just with what you've described so far, things aren't right. So can Fallon just ask what's wrong, even though I didn't fail, that I didn't make the
No,
insight
absolutely.
check? Okay.
Anya struggles a little bit more, and then finally waves her hand in the air and says, "Here," and then turns and walks towards the doors at the far end of the room here. And I'll just say that she's sort of walking with more. So Anya continues not to say anything as you walk across again this sort of fairly opulent antechamber. Exit through the doors, go into this hallway, and she leads you straight to the back. Colleen and Fallon, you've been here before. This is like Tavrith's treasure vault, basically. And you see the door hanging open. And Anya beckons you inside. And boop. Doop. The vault is massive, over 200 feet on a side, and filled with all manner of treasure. Gold, gems, and what must be magic items. In the center of it stands a great golden dragon, perhaps 20 feet tall and 30 from head to tail. Sort of a spiny sail runs down his back, and he's covered in great golden plates. You watch as he gulps down a mouthful of gold coins, then turns to face you. As he does, you notice that his body is decorated in cuts, including a particularly vicious looking one that runs red and swollen from the top of its front right leg down to its midsection. And the dragon Tavrith turns and inhales deeply, and his eyes pass over each of you in turn, lingering on Maxis and on Tirsa. Everybody give me a medicine check at this point. Okay, Fallon, you just see in his bearing, his movements are slower than before. You can hear a slight wheezing sound in his breath, and you realize that he's not just injured, he's sick. At last, though, the great golden dragon turns his head towards Aranin and says, with his voice resounding off the walls of the vault, "You, cleric of Miros, what is your name?"
Saranen?
Would you, a few of the people here I've met before, some I have not, would you vouch for them?
Sure.
I was gonna say, he's still addressing Ernan.
Yep, still addressing Aranin. He looks at you, Colleen. Or actually, no, he looks at Fallon and says, "Would you vouch for the cleric?"
Yes.
Very well. He turns and looks at Tirsa one more time, and there's sort of a tense moment, almost like a staring contest between Tirsa and the Golden Dragon, and to her credit, Tirsa doesn't flinch. Tavrith eventually sort of lets his head swing away and says, "So, the help that fate provides at last is a final exhortation to open my mind. What has it been? Not even 2 weeks since you departed?" And he's looking back at Fallon, Colleen, Kane with this. "I can see that much has befallen you. See that 2 of your number are no longer here. Much has passed here as well." He inhales sharply, and again, Fallon, you can tell the sound is sort of pained. "I suppose I should start, and I'll be quick about it. The demons who roam your country also infested the woods about my domain. When you left, Crow was also sent to rally his people. That is an orc who is known to those who were here before. Anyways, I gathered the wyverns and the Galabdur of this mountain, and even some from among the kobolds who owed me a debt from long ago. We met them head-on in the forest and finally broke them. The battle was a diversion, though. Somewhere in your comings and goings, or mine, the location of this lair became known, and in my absence it was infiltrated. I returned to find the goddess departed, and Anya left for dead in the doorway, an arrow stuck into her head. Innis had never recovered from her encounter with the Child of the Void, and I was not sure what had happened, but my fears ran wild. Somehow, I was able to coax Anya back to health, and you can see at this point, Anya's visibly upset, and Tavrith continues. The arrow struck her brain. She can carry herself well, surprisingly well, all things considered, and she understands everything that we are saying. But writing or speaking a single word is a struggle for her. It took me a very long time to understand what had transpired, but based on what Anya told me, I believe the goddess has been captured using an imprisonment spell or something like it, and taken I can only guess where, by I can only guess whom. And at this, the golden dragon coughs, and it's a lurching, almost rattling sound. He turns suddenly, puts his head inside this large bronze dish that's behind him. You hear sort of a hacking sound. Something wet hit the bottom of the bowl, and the tinkling of some sort of gemstone or metal falling in after. You see him sort of push his head to the side, sort of wiping against the bowl, and then he turns back to face you.
Can I soul meld with Anya and her be able to communicate with me?
You can certainly try. Are you going for the... Oh, wait a minute. Let me think about this. No, you already used this ability today. You can't use it again.
Did you make Anya talk when we were coming in, though?
She
Didn't
said
she
one
say-
word.
Okay.
She said here.
Tomorrow. Here am I.
Ask Tovrith,
Or until that.
what's gotten into you? What's got a hold of you?
He just sort of gestures vaguely in the direction of the large wound and then says, "Do you know what the lifespan of a dragon is?"
Forever.
Most of us don't die a natural death, but based on my experience, I'd say about 20 centuries is the limit, though I might have gone longer had this wound not festered. I'm sick.
Would healing magic help?
There probably is a magic powerful enough to ease things. But I'm old, even for a dragon. My time is probably coming. And he gives sort of a weak smile. I would not spurn the attempt, however.
So, what do I have left spell-wise?
Should be quite a bit.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. Kind of hit him with the healing spirit.
Sure. You reach into this magic that you've just sort of grasped after all that you went through on the road, and you reach out into the natural energy around you, and there's sort of an aquamarine. It almost looks like a cloud that settles over Tovrith, and you watch as he closes his eyes and takes a deep breath. You aren't 100% sure if it's your imagination, but you feel like it sounds just a little bit healthier than the ones that you heard before. Finally, he opens his eyes and exhales and says, "As you can see, We have much to discuss. And he also says, thank you, Fallon. And that's where we're going to end it for tonight.
Before we end it,
Yeah, okay. Yep, go ahead.
Fallon holds Anya's hand because that's some pretty messed up shit.
Okay. You know what? Just give me a straight charisma check, but with advantage.
Sorry, I'm trying to get there.
Okay. You feel her hand sort of squeeze yours, and she leans into you a bit. Her head turns slightly, and she rests her head against your shoulder.
Cool.
And that's where we end it. All right. And
Oh, what the hell, KC? We
Goodbye,
got all the way
stream.
here.
Goodbye, stream.